I'm Paul Ferguson, Vice President of Programming and Operations here at Starboard. I've been here for what feels like forever. Actually, it's been almost forever. I actually started working here as a very young guy, even prior to it becoming Starboard Communications, but I've been with Starboard for the company's entire history, and about 5 years prior to that, so 27 years. Oh boy, still trying to figure that out. No, I kid. Ultimately, to précis it down, from the listener's standpoint, I'm ultimately responsible for everything that comes out of the speakers. On the operations side, kind of behind the scenes, I'm responsible for ultimately all departments within the radio station. I love that. Most of the time, I love that. 19 out of 20 days. No, I kid. Well, it is because, and I think most good broadcasters are curious people. And so on the operational side, it scratches that curious itch to maybe get more involved with things that historically in my career I haven't been. Oh, sure beats working for a living. That's for sure. When I was really young, always loved the Blue Jays from the first time I went to a game. And so you play baseball when you're young, and I realized quickly I couldn't do what the guys on TV were doing as well as they could. But I could do maybe what that guy is doing on TV and in the stadium, or at least I thought I could. I'd walk around the house driving my family crazy, mimicking these guys, whether it was the stadium announcer or the guys on TV. And that's kind of where the seed was planted. I grew into it from there. But sports broadcasting wasn't the path I ended up taking. And it was frankly almost because, I applied really for the wrong program at Loyalist. Rather than the broadcast journalism, I took radio broadcasting, and it changed the course of my life. My favorite interview to date was with Kevin Costner back when him and his band in September of 2011 played a show at Empire Square at the anniversary weekend. And Andy Forgy said, "Hey, I can get you 15 minutes by phone with Kevin Costner." So, of course, you take it. And I barely slept the night before the interview because what do you say to Kevin Costner? And so while I was laying there trying to sleep in the middle of the night, I kind of got thinking about why is Kevin Costner on the phone with a radio guy in Belleville tomorrow? And it's not necessarily to talk about his entire Hollywood resume. The reason I have that time with him and the reason he's in town is to talk about the music. And so I thought, I'm not going to drag him through his own IMDb page for the billionth time in his career, that I was really going to zero in on the music. And there were times in that interview where he veered into the Hollywood portion of his career, and I was happy to follow him down the path. But I was so happy with the interview because I could tell when it started, this is another interview Kevin Costner has to do. By the end of it, he had said, "Am I going to see you tonight? Because this has been a really fun interview." And so I knew probably 12, 13 minutes through the 15, all I've got to do is stick the dismount, and this has been fine. And it turned out that way. And so I was really happy with that. It's hard to put my finger on one experience as my favorite working with Starboard. But I guess the best way to answer the question is, when I look back over the years, things pop into your mind. One of the really nice things about being here is being around people that you actually enjoy being around. I come in every day, my routine's largely the same, put my keys where they go every day, and I take my steep tea and I do a lap around the building and say hello to everybody. And it may sound like management 101 to go around and say, it's not that. It's that I enjoy going and catching up to the people that I work with, and it's probably the most valuable time of the day. You're going to learn more about what makes people tick, what they're working on, how they're doing through that very informal setting than you ever will in a meeting. So it's not necessarily an experience per se, but when I look back at all the years of Starboard, I tend to think of the people that I've been around more necessarily than a particular experience. That radio still, when done properly, it still and always will super serve its communities. It was the original social media. And when I say when radio's done properly, I mean we're in a luxurious situation where we're privately owned, family company, still dedicated to not being just another franchise type of thing, you know, town to town, up and down the highway. When it rains in this community, our owner's head gets wet. And we all still super serve the community. We're proud of that, and that is, was, and always will be radio's great advantage.